Okay, so we are finally hearing from Tom Brady for the first time since he finalized his divorce from Gisele last Friday. Now, on the Let's Go podcast, Tom admitted it's been tough managing a public split and playing football. Have a listen.
It's a very amicable situation, and I'm really focused on two things, and taking care of my family and certainly my children, and secondly, doing the best job I can to win football games. You know, everyone's going through different things. We all have our unique challenges in life, and we're all humans, and we do the best we could do.
Now, as far as Gisele, sources told People magazine the split was hard at first, but she has lived on her own for years and is not afraid to do things by herself. One thing that immediately made me think of you, Jeff, is Tom also said in the podcast that, quote, I want to hold my head high on and off the field. He just wants to be the best version of himself.
And I think he's trying to do that. He's been that role model for kids, right, his whole career. And I think he's still trying to do that even though he's going through something difficult. We have to take a step back and look at how quickly this all happened, right? I mean, the divorce is finalized. They announced it. We didn't know if it was true or not. Boom, it's finalized. So he was already internalizing this before the season even started, if you want to bring it to sports. He's not having a great season. That might be part of the reason why. But, I mean, I think he's taking it in stride, right? He mentioned it on that podcast. He dressed up as the Grim Reaper, kind of like to make a joke about himself. He said, insert joke here, kind of like the death on the field, the death of his relationship, right? So he's taking it in stride, and I think he's going to be an example for some people. I know a lot of people love to hate him because he's won so much, but I think he's an example of how to go through this professionally, right?
Yeah.
I think the whole thing is just the way that a lot of people should look at it. It's not shocking when anyone gets divorced. I mean, the divorce rate is very high. But at the same time, it is shocking to people when they weren't in on all of the things that make relationships dissolve. Like, I know for me personally, a lot of people were very shocked when I announced my divorce. This is like 10 years ago, if I can believe that, because we weren't out there like bad-mouthing each other.
Right.
There wasn't really any indication outside of our home. And so when it happened, there were like little things that kind of led people to believe that there was trouble in paradise, but it wasn't anything that was truly confirmed until we had moved on with our lives, which honestly, I wouldn't change anything about that.
Wow. I just did a little research, and you guys are all right. Just so you know, she bought a house, like a modest-sized house, like months ago. So she has really moved on in her mind. And as Al once said, he's right. She left the compound, which they owned together, many moons ago. So I think you're right. They did it quickly. They did it neatly. No one's bad-mouthing each other, and you move on. It's the way to do it. And
I hope it stays that way.
I do, too, for the children. I really do. Yeah. I really do.
Well, Gwyneth Paltrow, who really did start that whole conscious uncoupling thing, Tori.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Gwyneth says she got into some mischief when she went trick-or-treating as a kid. She told Jimmy Kimmel she would go up to Arnold Schwarzenegger's house in Santa Monica.
As we all did.
How relatable.
But he never gave out candy. She also said she and her friend would TP houses in the area, including Arnold's. Watch.
You toilet papered Arnold Schwarzenegger's house.
We did.
What was the impetus for that? You just
being naughty kids.
And it was because he was famous, or you're just doing it to the neighbors in general?
We did it, unfortunately, to a few houses there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. But he was our, like, pride and joy.
Sure, yeah. You tell everybody we got the Terminator's house.
In case you were wondering, Gwyneth Tori was dressed as Gwynnie the Pooh. Okay, enough with Tori and her...
She's a hater.
No, I do. She looked great. She did look great.
She looks fantastic.
Yeah, she does. She looked good.
What do you think about, it's either called Mischief Night or Devil's Night. That's the night before Halloween. Did you guys ever do anything crazy, mischievous when you were a kid the night before Halloween?
Of course.
Like what?
No, you know.
What?
Maybe some eggs were purchased.
Are you an egg
Not for
thrower?
breakfast. Not really, but I was with the guys that were throwing them for sure. I didn't have enough confidence, and I was terrified of my parents. But yeah, I was definitely out with the, you know, we didn't do the toilet paper. That's too expensive. But yeah, probably some eggs distributed for sure. Absolutely.
Eggs are cheaper than toilet paper?
Well, they're not as noticeable. Like if you take a roll of toilet paper out of the house, that would be noticed. Eggs, you can take like 6.
You in D.C.
We used to change people's bumper stickers, the political bumper stickers.
No, you did not.
Yeah, we did.
That is the nerdiest thing I've ever. That is.
Because we had a guy working for Bush at the time, a guy working for Gore next door, and a guy working for Clinton near my house. So everyone had very certain things going on, and they all had bumper stickers, and that was our naughty night.
Wow. Jeff, can you top that?
Yeah, if you lived in my neighborhood, you would have got egged.
Yeah.
That's what would have happened.
Egged this year.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, somebody egged your house?
No, my car.
My car got egged in
It makes
high school.
sense.
Yeah.
Where were you parked? Were you blocking someone's drive?
Was it because of your political bumper sticker?
No, she was parked. She probably parked badly.
I parked right in front of my house, and the whole thing was egged.
Wait.
The whole thing?
The whole and you know eggs, I didn't know this, they rot the paint.
Yeah.
They burn
Eggs
the paint.
are really bad. Yeah,
and it happened multiple times, by the way.
My dad's Toyota 4Runner got egged on homecoming. It was freezing that night, and it was on the back window that goes up and down, and it destroyed it.
Yeah.
Like we had to get a new back door. Like eggs really do a lot of damage to cars.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Sorry for the nerd alert, but big facts.
All right.
I'm sorry, Sam. I was trying to share a personal anecdote.
I love you. I do love you. Okay, social media can get a bad rap. But Lindsay Lohan wishes she had it when she first started out in Hollywood. This is actually an interesting question. So Lindsay told Cosmopolitan magazine that back in the day, she and other stars like Britney Spears and Paris Hilton were not able to control their own narrative. So people just ran with paparazzi pics of them, created their own stories. Now she's jealous that young people have a voice on social media so they can tell everyone who they really are. I never really even thought about this.
Yeah.
Would people view Lindsay Lohan differently if she was able to communicate what she was going through with addiction or whatever it may be?
You know, it's like so hard to go back to that time and think about, because we see all of the backlash from social media and her being so young and also going through it. Would it have driven her to act out more? Would it have changed the course of, everything? I just think about it like Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan were two of the top stories, and Britney Spears when I was coming up in morning radio. There were like no other stories. Everything kind of like connected to them. And it does really stink that they didn't have any control over that narrative. And if they would come in to do interviews, generally whoever's interviewing them was trying to steer them to get a soundbite to talk about something that was going to add more fuel to that fire. So it's so hard to think about it in the context of what was happening back then and how that would have changed it. But I don't know, because there's so many pros and cons.
Think about Britney Spears, though. She would have had a voice.
Yeah.
And the whole conservatorship, you just mentioned her. All I can think of is, my God, it would have given her an out. I'm stuck, or if you haven't heard from her on Twitter or Instagram, something's gone wrong. I'm not saying she shouldn't have been in the conservatorship, but she certainly felt she didn't have a voice in it.
But see, I wonder that what if they had managers that, like, to your point, Erica,
curated it, maybe?
Not even curated. They're like, you know what, Lindsay, every time you get drunk at a nightclub and do a weird dance, the algorithm goes up, so much more. Wouldn't they be getting agents and managers telling them to act out?
I'm sorry.
Yes, they're talking in our ear.
That was the longest sentence ever. I think they're opening in our ear. I don't know what is happening.
I don't think they know their channels.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything.
Wouldn't her manager be telling her to act out more to get more views on the algorithm, because that would be financially beneficial at that time?
Here's where I compare it to. When you get like the big iconic stars back then, when they would come on, they had someone who was like either on the phone or they were physically in the studio with them. And if you went rogue as an interviewer, they would stop down or pull them completely.
Yeah, the publicists were
so
on it.
It was like that's such a weird juxtaposition, because you have people who are now able to just go on, and now their crisis management teams have to like clean it up, or you have this very curated image to make sure that it doesn't mess up their career. So I don't know what I
actually think the grass is always greener on the other side, meaning I think, as someone, I worked in the clubs at that time, and I remember the way Lindsay Lohan would come in. And I remember the type of mentality she had and how she treated people. I don't think it would have fared well for her at all.
Especially if everybody has a camera now.
Yes. And some of the things I witnessed, even with Britney and with Paris, and again, I was just a waitress, but I'm a fly on the wall. And I think it would have been even worse, because I don't think any of them were in their right mind, whether it was substance abuse or whether it was mental illness with Britney Spears. I do think that our social media becomes just kind of like a diary, especially if it's heightened with substances.
And fame and youth.
Yes, I think it's a recipe for disaster. But who knows? I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but it's an interesting question. So Christmas can't come soon enough for Mariah Carey. She posted a video marking November 1st as the beginning of the holiday season. Watch.
It's time!
That's the first time I saw that, and I got chills.
I saw it earlier, and I just love me some Mariah. There is no Mariah slander to be had, okay? None
I
whatsoever.
feel like there's some Thanksgiving slander going on. You guys are skipping over Thanksgiving every year.
This is a little
I'm so
early,
tired of
guys.
this.
I agree. What
I'm
happened
ready.
to the turkey and the cranberry sauce having a moment?
Thank you.
Well, what's the Thanksgiving song, Tori?
Dear Thanksgiving, I love you.
Yes, I know that song very well.
Now, Jeff will immediately put up your Christmas trees.
My wife's
today?
doing it right now. Yeah.
Wow.
My wife's see, I got a
Tree
couple
or your lights?
The tree. We gradually bring things outside so we're not super embarrassing. But inside, it's Christmas. But so our main table still has like leaves on it for Thanksgiving because that's where we're gonna eat our Thanksgiving dinner. We don't skip over Thanksgiving, but I think it's nice to have the tree in the house. You only have it for 2 months, and we put in a lot of effort, my wife, to put it up. You know what I mean? And it's cozy.
And
I like it as it gets
everything.
colder. You put it on a little crock pot. You got the Christmas tree. It's a jam.
I'm so with Jeff, and I was not for it at all in the beginning. Like season 1 and 2, I was like, oh, come on, Jeff. And then we tried it last year. Felt so good and merry.
And I've warned my neighbors too, so they know, so it's not super like, oh my God, I live next to this guy.
Is it weird for me as a single man in my home, my kids are in LA, that like I'll have a tree in my house by myself?
No, you should have. You should have a tree. You absolutely should decorate and have a tree.
For myself?
Yes, absolutely.
It'll make you feel good.
Mental health alone, I think that it changes something.
Decorating a tree by myself is good for my mental health?
There's a Danish word called hygge. Hygge, H-Y-G-G-E, hygge.
One who decorates alone.
No, but it means the idea of bringing warmth and glow into the home. The candles, the lights, it's good for your soul.
Let's be honest.
And then you could take a nap next to the tree and Tori could retell that story.
Hygge.
We have to be honest, though. You're not the one putting up your tree and decorating your tree.
It's a good call.
I will, this year. New things, new beginnings.